The greatest artist to work with woodblock printing was the 19th century painter Hokusai, who was renowned for his depictions of Mount Fuji. Gradually building up piece by piece. 5枚の裏表11回で仕上がりです。This is exactly the way, if we were in Leonardo da Vinci's studio or flew back in the 1500s, 1400s, even 1300s, this is how people were working. Nowadays we get so used to everything being able to be aligned by computer. This is the real skill. This is why a handmade woodblock print is worth so much more than just perfection things, smack down, smack down.
Hello.
Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that, that's the finished one. Isn't that beautiful? See it from just an outline suddenly to this gorgeous picture with depth and warmth. It's a privilege to watch a master at work. Arigato. A couple of hours later, I'm approaching the Wheel of Fame, the majestic Mount Fuji, and I'm completely full of anticipation. Mount Fuji in all her splendor, blue skies, white slopes. In fact, today, of course, it's not quite like that, but it gives us a tantalizing glimpse of what she looks like in different weather conditions. I think you can see that we've got the slope of the mountain here. Little goats missing. It's not really cold, it's got this golden feeling, a hard blue sky at the top, and the reflection clearly showing underneath. Fail. Undeterred, we continue travelling south through Honshu. Centuries ago, the route between Tokyo and the ancient capital Kyoto passed through the remote Kisu Valley on the legendary Nakasendo Way. This road was like the M1 of 16th century Japan, and back then in the days of samurai and shogun, it was one of the few ways you could travel between the two great cities. And this, believe it or not, is actually part of the road. Terribly ancient. People have been walking this road for centuries. Unbelievable little villages like this dotted all the way. The starting point of my walk is Tsumago, one of 69 coastal towns along the route. Apparently there's a man in the village, Yoshinori Fujiwara, who has a detailed map of the Nakasendo Way, so I thought I'd pop in to see what I might expect en route. Fujiwara-san?
Hi. Konnichiwa.
I'm Joanna.
Konnichiwa. Hi.
Good to see you. Fujiwara-san's map is not what I expected. My gosh. Oh my goodness. Wow! No! The shapes of it is the longest map I've ever seen. Where are we? Oh, that's us.
一点一点正方形に入れてあります。小さいですけども、西眼鏡で見ればきちんと見えます。
So we must be one of those big houses wonderful. Wow! Does this show the whole route from Tokyo to Kyoto, or just a part of it?
京都江戸の間はこの本は20冊で投資です。一部です。
To Romans, still you would have how extraordinary. It's so detailed. It shows the little houses. It shows all the bends. It's beautiful. This is Montgomery.
Yes.
That's where I'm walking to. And that's only a 20th of this whole journey. And that's not even a 20th of the 20th, because this is a tiny fraction of this map. There are tough people in those days. I think I would have brought a pony along with me, a pack animal.
はい。
Before I set off, there's just time for another stamp in my book. Oh, look. That's beautiful. Arigato. Thank you so much. Signpost saying Nakasendo. Very good treats in Japan. Nice to have them in your pocket or your mouth when you're walking. Naka means middle, Sen means mountain, Do means way. Nakasendo means the middle mountain way. Look at these bamboos. They're immense. It's like a forest. My 5-mile trek to Magumi through winding, unspoiled countryside is hilly and feels remote after the busy city. And at all times, I have to keep my wits about me. Ringing the bell hard against bears. Wild bears aren't a threat today, but in the past this route was fraught with danger, and people in high places had to take precautions when travelling this road. In 1862, Princess Kazunoriya needed an entourage of 25,000 people to ensure her safe passage to Tokyo to marry the shogun. This vast train of soldiers, servants, and porters was so huge that it took 3 days to pass by. People with less security often came a cropper, and all along the route are reminders of dastardly deeds committed centuries ago. That's the Kurashima Jinja Shrine. Terrible thing happened here. A vassal of the local noble lord was travelling with 30 of his servants. And bandits and brigands came out of the hills and killed them. I don't know what that meant. Maybe the horses were killed as well. I wouldn't have thought so. Brigands would have used horses. Some just put fresh daffodils. What's this? The scroll's been down here, made its own offering. I'm not sure. This road is like a journey back in time, and it seems that at every turn there's a story of Japan's past to be told. The great samurai swordsman of the 17th century, Miyamoto Musashi, used to practice his sword skills here. We're not going to film this, I know, but over there is the female waterfall. This is the male waterfall, big. And that's fair enough because men are big, and this is the female waterfall, very slightly smaller. And in many ways, women are slightly smaller than men. And in many ways, very much bigger. I'm a few miles into my walk along the Nakasendo Way, and it feels like another time and another country. This is so beautiful. It reminds me of Switzerland or, any alpine, or in fact any mountain villages. Beautiful little wooden houses and wood piles stocked, everything kept neat and tidy, swept, small vegetable patches, clothes hanging out to dry. Gorgeous. The Nakasendo Way was really a political tool for the ruling shogun to maintain the fragile peace in Japan. This way he could keep tabs on the unruly feudal lords, who he regularly forced to trek all the way to the capital and back. Checkpoints were set up along the route, and everybody would have to show credentials and explain their reason for travel.
Yeah.
Commoners weren't allowed to go anywhere without a very good reason. Tea house. Tea houses like this one were set up to offer weary travellers refreshments. Hello? Can I have tea? Yeah. This guy didn't ask to see my papers or ask any probing questions. Please. But he seems happy to bring me tea. I can't see any price lists, so I think that what you do is you just get given tea and put a donation in this little donation box. Put a bamboo.
Salamat, Wilma.
Lovely. Oh, darling eyes. Oh, look what's coming. Arigato, thank you. What is this?
Look, please. Please, trivia.
Hello.
No, it's wonderful. It's a
Bagong
relic.
dikit po.
You think? I think it is. It's a relic. This is one for and two.
Ano ba to?
はい、sing song. Please.
Hello, Welma and... Ano ba? Art moderator is now. Salamat, Welma. Sino pa? Hello po.
Lahat. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, gosh, that's very good. This is wonderful. Gosh, how beautiful. We should have more singing in tea shops, I think.
Ruby, bagong dikit. Sige po, balikan kita
That's a
maya.
great danger of sitting down in the middle of a walk as the two of them
Ano
get
ba
up
to?
again.
Ano ba? Hindi kita maano dito. Sige, balikan kita maya. Asan na yung ano niya? Hindi na, dapat hindi kita makita dito.
I've loved walking through honchos of pristine forests, but I know they've been preserved at a cost. Other Asian countries willingly sell their own
Ruby, hindi ko
rainforests
makita.
to make disposable chopsticks for the Japanese market. This is the beginning of my gome, and it's the end of my very short walk.
Ay, wala.
Lovely to think of this old road. The old days it had all kinds of things, bandits and
Thumbs up
horrors and
dyan.
villains and splendor.
Welma.
No, it's just got happy
Boss,
tourists,
pwede pa
happy
thumbs
walkers
up.
like yourself.
Sige po, Welma. Ano mo dito, tamsakan ko.
But I can't hang around in Magumi. Spring is
Asan
in
yung
the air,
ano mo,
and I have to
link,
press
yung
on.
ano mo, Welma.
There is a very important seasonal event in Japan's former capital city, Kyoto. It may have been the historic capital, but Kyoto's station is a gleaming modern statement of Japan's brilliant infrastructure. I've arrived, along with thousands of others, in search of Kyoto's famous cherry blossom. Now, all I have to do is find it. Japan is bending over backwards to encourage foreign visitors to come here and spend their money.
Dodong, tapos na. Natamsakan na kita. Hindi ako marunong. Nakita ko kanina.
Is that 20-minute wait? Is this because cherry blossom? Yeah.
Pamit na ano.
I'm sorry, just my delay trying to find a foreign
Saan
taxi.
yung ano na yun?
It's now 40 minutes because the queue's got a bit longer. I've been planning my trip to arrive in Kyoto at exactly the right time of the year to see it in full bloom. So 40 minutes to wait is nothing.
So, nice to meet you. My name is Kano.
Kano-san. My name is Joanna. When did you start being foreign friendly?
Foreign friendly taxi system is just started.
Really, this year? It's brand new.
Yes, brand new.
It's brilliant. I think it's so courteous, so kind. And you learned English here?
Yes.
It's excellent.
Here in Japan.
I'm so ashamed I don't speak Japanese. I feel that Kano-san and I are well acquainted enough for me to offer him one of my favorite sweets. Cotton crumbs. Would you like a lot of flour? Oh, thank you. I put one out for you. On my finger.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Oh, look how pretty. Kyoto is famed around the world for its cherry blossom. And in 2014, tourists visiting the city spent £4.5 billion. Not only is it difficult to get a taxi,
Welma, saan ka na?
hotels are like gold dust.
Baba mo.
The arrival of this beautiful blossom, or sakura as it's known, is hotly anticipated throughout the whole country.
また、今日も見てみましょう。3月27日から4月1日にかけての開花予想となっています。
I'm wearing a cherry blossom related colouring today. actually quite excited. I mean, I am seeing it, but I want to see sort of clouds of it. Look, you see, we're just getting blossom along here. Look at it. Here in Japan, the seasons are terribly important and celebrated, and particularly spring coming with the arrival of the cherry blossom. People going out to have picnics under the trees just to stare at the beauty. It's something I so believe in. I love the idea that a whole country can be gripped by blossom fever. The Japanese make a big thing of going out and taking in the natural beauty of the new cherry blossom. They call it hanami. It's just beautiful. I've been dropped off at the Philosopher's Walk, that is a popular hanami spot, and I can see why. So I'm just going to have to take pictures of this. I've never seen so many
Hanapin ko na lang sila.
cameras out everywhere. People just taking pictures. People taking pictures of people taking pictures. Fabulous. It doesn't have much scent, but there's something quite intoxicating about seeing cherry blossom on this scale. Will you come be in my picture? And so I can take a selfie, huh? And you put close
Ah, ito.
I don't want that. I'll do it back to here.
Tapos na hinanap kita. Hindi pa kita subscriber. I-subscribe na.
So adorable. I wish we dressed beautifully still, you know. I wish we put flowers in our hair. And I feel massively underdressed now. Dejected even. This is called the Philosopher's Walk. And me, obviously, philosopher, kind of thinking kind of person that I am. Kind of person who'd have a joke. Philosopher's face, not looking, thinking something. Yeah, thank you. Very nice. That face of thinking down there for Johnson. Kyoto was Japan's capital for over 1,000 years, and it still has a proud and refined air. Its thousands of Buddhist temples, Shinto shrines, and ornate gardens were spared the blanket bombing of World War II, and now attract a throng of tourists, especially at this time of year. But there's another part of Kyoto that comes alive at night. The Gion district is synonymous with that most Japanese tradition, the geisha, or as they're known here, the geiko. It's got a slightly different edge to it nowadays. You can see there are practically no tourists, even though it's full of bars and restaurants. And there's a reason for that, because all these bars and restaurants are geisha bars and restaurants. You can't just walk in, you've got to be invited in. It's a world absolutely shrouded in secrecy, which famously shuns the press and media. To tell the truth, I'm excited and a little bit nervous because I'm going to meet a trainee geiko. Her name is Maiko, and her name is Tomitsuyu, and she's 18 years old. Tomitsuyu has invited me to a traditional tea ceremony, one of the many rituals she's trained in. She's 3 years into a rigorous 5-year program, preparing to become a fully fledged geiko. The beauty of this procedure, everything done absolutely precisely,
You
with
can
no
less
speed,
the
no
volume
fly.
that you sleep.
The folding of the napkin with one hand, very careful cleaning, precise placing of things.
You can less the volume if you want. You can less the volume if you want to rest.
Geishas are not some form of ladies of
Okay, you
the
sleep
night.
now.
The literal translation of geisha
Okay,
means
sleep.
art person. In the 18th century, they entertained crowds in the pleasure quarters of cities with music, dancing, and singing, and were distinctly separate from prostitutes and courtesans.
I live on my
In modern day
Facebook.
Japan, they have a certain celebrity status. Namely, they are hired by rich businessmen as party hosts or to entertain
And I have
important
2
guests
viewers.
in private tea house parties. Interesting. Green tea is green as a piece of bread. does not speak when she does the ceremonies. I don't speak to her. But I think she knows how grateful I am to be drinking this beautiful tea, son. Thank you for such lovely tea you made me.
Thank you.
Beautiful. What attracted you to the life of Keiko?
I was born in Kyoto.
Yes.
And some of my family members were working for kimono
Yeah.
industry. So I liked wearing kimonos since when I was a kid. And I also loved watching Japanese historical movies. And I thought maybe I could do something related to the tradition.
And what did your parents think about that?
My parents were surprised.
Yes.
And they didn't believe
Hello,
me because they know how hard to become
how do you do?
You look so beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you do your own makeup? Is
I
that
do.
what you do?
At the back to I paint by myself.
Geckos only use black, red, and very thick white makeup. This was originally done so their faces would glow in the candlelight. The nape of the neck, which is considered especially attractive, is seductively left bare. You can do your hair?
I go to a special hairdresser once a week. It takes 1 hour to make the hairstyle, but I have to sleep with this hair done like this.
How do you sleep on your back? Very neat.
On my side neck,
Yes.
I have a very special pillow made out of wood.
It's a proper discipline, this, isn't it? It's hard work to do what you do. Tell me what your week is like. What is a day like?
Normally in the morning, I have to spend about 1 hour fixing my hair on the pillow, the wooden pillow, and go to lessons.
What are the lessons?
So tea ceremony,
Yes.
dancing,
Dancing.
flute, drumming, singing, and then maybe 2 or 3 o'clock I start getting ready. Takes maybe 2 hours. Fixing my hair again, put those hair accessories on, put my makeup, and then start working from 6 o'clock.
That's when customers arrive here.
Yes,
What is it that people come for?
it depends on the customers.
Yes.
Sometimes they want us to accompany to go to theater or dinner.
How many Mako-san and Geiko-san are there in Kyoto, do you think?
In Kyoto, well, there are around 180 Geiko-san.
So not so many.
Even girls really want to become Maiko-san. Unfortunately, most of them don't.
They don't make the grade.
Last year, 5 girls came to this district, and only 1 could become Maiko-san.
You're very young still, at 18, and you joined when you were 15.
Yes.
Now, other 15-year-old girls are listening to music and trying on clothes and going out with boyfriends, maybe. Do you miss any of these things? What do you miss most?
I miss my parents and my friends, and also the modern technology. I'm not allowed to have phones or internet connections, so I can't go onto like Facebook and other things.
So it's a solitary life, but you're walking on the street with people, but not doing what other people do.
No, I'm not allowed.
Do you sometimes wish you could? Sometimes. I'm somehow
Why is she laugh like that?
It makes me feel sad thinking about the normal adolescence she'll never have. But I'm also in awe of the level of devotion she shows to this strange life she's chosen.
Darling, I only have 1 viewers.
Are they quite hard? You walk in them beautifully, but are they quite hard to walk in when you learn? Yeah.
I only have 2 viewers on my YouTube.
Over half year.
You must be
I give 1 jacket already.
No, not for 5
Can I have one?
Okay, you live, you open your YouTube then.
Yes.
And I only have 3 thumbs up.
water.
Yeah.
So everything like accommodation, food, facilities,
I'm still waiting
everything's
the
provided
people
by the house.
come to my
I don't get paid.
because it's too long.
And some friends forget my real name.
Oh really?
Your real name is Chelsea.
I can't tell you.
And I've been calling you Chelsea thinking that was your real name.
No.
That's Michael Chelsea. It's like a stage
Stage name, yes. Exactly.
And do you think that maybe one day you will come back and be an ordinary person again?
Maybe.
Maybe get married, maybe have children.
Because I'm only child.
You're a child now. I hope that you have such success as Gecko-san, but I hope that also that later on you can escape. As Tomitsu leaves for another discreet evening engagement, it's reassuring to learn that she's still a normal teenager at heart. Have you ever been to England?
No, never.
Would you like to come?
I'd love to.
What would you do when you came there?
I want to go to Harry Potter
Oh,
World.
Harry Potter. I've met Diamond Radcliffe, you know.
Really?
Yes. He's a charming man. He's charming.
She's so happy.
Next time, the final leg of my journey, I'll be uncovering the secrets of ancient Japan.
Hello guys! Paglabas man ay.
Monster,
At least may nag-wow.
confronting the horrors of the
Thumbs
world.
up lang guys.
So unbearable. I'm throwing a few shapes with some lovely old ladies. It is incredibly fun to look at people.
It's done. Ayan.
Running the length of Japan from north to south, with intriguing adventures and fascinating people across its hundreds of islands. I'm leaving Honshu, which is the biggest of the four principal Japanese islands. We're going down to Shikoku, which is the smallest. It's got 4 million people, so it's not exactly tiny. And from Shikoku, it's over 1,000 miles to the southernmost tip of Japan, an archipelago of Pacific islands. Look at this view. We'll see great cities and stunning landscapes. Oh, that's a beauty. I'll reveal Japan's most ancient secrets and some of its most modern achievements. And we're starting here on this amazing bridge built between Honshu and Shikoku. Absolutely bristling with superlatives. Listen to these statistics. 1,991 meters long, 280 meters high,
You see it
which makes it the longest and the highest suspension bridge in the whole world. Come with me to Japan.
You have to sleep again.
It's sunrise on Shikoku, and across the island months before the ceremony dating back to the 6th century.
I charged my computer there.
And all over the island, thousands of white-clad faithful pilgrims can be seen making their way between the 88 temples along the route. I've never been on a pilgrimage before, but with these delightful outfits, I think I feel a calling. David Norton has lived in Japan for 25 years, and he's going to point me in the right direction. The journey takes you on how long, how far away?
About 1,200 kilometers. It takes a while.
It takes a while. We've done it, of course.
Yes.
How many times?
Just once.
Just once. The pilgrimage is to honor Shikoku's most famous son, Kobu Daishi, who lived here and brought Shingon Buddhism to Japan from China in the 9th century. Before I follow in the great man's footsteps, I need to dress appropriately. I'm writing to put something else on. I'm loving this already. I can hear my voice echoing up underneath it. Do I need a staff? The staff represents the embodiment of Kobo Daishi, so it's important to get the right one. think that would be a nice invention. Or do you think I should have more Buddhist colour? I think I would go for one of the rich Buddhist
Din ka mo?
But I've now changed my mind. I'm not going to
Perte
have
ka
that one. I'm
init.
going this one. No, I'm not.
Perte ka init.
I think I want long sleeves.
Tapos na?
Yeah, very good. What do you think? What do you think?
Timayo eh.
I'm now kitted out with all sorts of pilgrim
Nakakaligo mo ka mo.
paraphernalia, fully equipped to experience temple number 1.
So a lot of people put the staff here.
Some things look quite
Karon na lang
old.
tawag eh.
Often people forget them
Mm-mm.
because you get very busy. The incense and the candle and everything.
I wouldn't forget mine. I would never forget mystic. Incense. These huge lanterns which have swastikas on them, which of course in the East are signs of peace. Right above us, an extraordinary dragon. My pilgrim hat won't let me see exactly what he's up to. He's got talons and the full moon. As once the end of your life comes into view, it sort of becomes late afternoon, evening of your life. You begin to think back and you begin to try to ponder on what's good and bad and what's it all about Alfie and what's it saying. Well, I've never made a pilgrimage. This seems like a good time to start. I've got all the kit for a start. Well, off I go. Oh, you are wonderful. Arigato.
Arigato. But wait.
I wonder if at the end of my pilgrimage I'll be recharged. Gorgeous onions. They grow things so beautifully around here. Reinvigorated, reinvented. It's what pilgrims way sometimes comes through woods and it's absolutely stunning. Just to get away off the beaten track. Whatever happens, I hope to be a much, much better person by the end of this. What I've already learned along the way is that you can be quite specific about what you're looking for. And some of the temples have themes, like this one. This is very beautiful. I think that this temple is sort of dedicated to childbirth and procreation and so on. I think this is where pregnant women come. This is where they hang their little prayers and wishes, their dreams come true. Most Japanese people combine Buddhism with elements of Shintoism to form a more fluid spirituality rather than a defined religion. 200,000 people complete this pilgrimage every year. Historically, you walk the route on your own, but these days whole busloads of pilgrims choose to visit the temples en masse. Are you doing the whole trip? Whole trip. Oh, walking?
It's fast actually.
And how long will that take you?
It will take 2 weeks.
2 weeks. This one is dedicated to motherhood, procreation.
Yes, mentoring.
What did you wish?
I have.
You have one child.
Yes, so I asked him. So I hope.
I hope.
Thank you.
I think it will be good. Well, it's lovely to meet you. What is your name?
Chihiro.
Chihiro. See, I knew I should have got a short sleeve shirt. I knew that I was going that. I thought that I'd look, but now I see how chic, you see. Chic pilgrim, not so chic pilgrim. It's good to meet you, Chihiro.
Nice to meet you.
Go safely.
Thank you. You too.
And have that baby.
I hope so.
Meeting such lovely people is already making me feel good about life. And getting my book signed at every temple makes me feel positively joyful. It's got to be as beautiful as anything you've ever seen in your life. What could possibly go wrong? You can see my stick has slightly changed. The thing is that I'm afraid I left it. When you go into the temples, you put your beautiful staves and umbrellas obviously outside, and then you pick them up and you go out. And I forgot to pick mine up. And so my beautiful and important embodiment of the saint, which I was going to take home and wash and give my best bed to, has gone. And I've got this bamboo one, which is... I wanted an apron. I knew I should have got an apron like this. It looks so trim and nice. Some of the temples are in extraordinary places. These excited pilgrims are all trying to catch a glimpse of the great man himself, Kobodaishi. He once spent 50 days up on this mountain repeating the Buddhist text, known as a sutra, 1 million times. For my final temple, I'm up and out before dawn.
Oh, it's 3 o'clock already.
5:30 in the morning.
It's 3 o'clock. Very fast.
I've got to hear some pilgrim chanting. This extraordinary temple provides protection against those difficult years that we all go through. Here, the age of 33 is regarded as being particularly unlucky for women, hence the 33 steps. You're supposed to put a coin on every step, but the truth is I'm a little bit more than 33.
Oh, have two again. Have two people. Oops. Schedule.
The monks perform these chants or sutras every morning, while the chief monk builds a consecrated fire that's believed to have a powerful cleansing effect. I'm delighted to learn that according to the Shingon doctrine that they practice here, enlightenment is not some distant, unattainable concept. It's something achievable in life today. It is full of hope. It's really lovely ceremony. And apart from the chanting and the booming of the great gong, the drumming which goes right through your heart. And just while we're in there, the sun's come up.
Auntie, can I have a biscuit,
It's really
please?
a perfect day. Fujiko Yuko is the fourth generation of his family to be a monk here at Yakuji Temple. And I asked him to explain the significance of the age of 33 for women, and why it's regarded as being especially problematic.
自分の体に変化が出るであるっていうふうに言われています。What's
I'm
this
very
time?
old now and I feel fine.
61歳で生まれ変わる。It says, ゼロさん戻るっていうふうに言われています。ですので、還暦の時っていうのは多く言われています。
This is excellent. I started
You don't want any more, sir.
Fantastic.
Want to try,
But I
sir?
have, in fact, been
Ikaw, gusto mo rin?
by this pilgrimage. To come to Shikoku and to follow a little bit of the pilgrimage trails gives me such a sense of peace, of reconnecting with the beauty of nature. Secretly, I wish I could stay here for a little bit longer. But I've got to go. To get to my next island, Kyushu, I have to go via Honshu, where I jump on a bullet train to whisk me the 400 miles southwest of this dry island. Taxi? It has big cities, busy harbours, and active volcanoes to contend with. I've also been recommended a very discreet little place. Hello, I'm Joanna Lovely. I've booked a room. Yes. Thank you.
Please proceed to the electric to complete the chicken process.
All right. There we are.
Is that
I have to find
a
Thank you. Yes, I heard you. Thanks, Ray. Lovely. If you'll go through me with it, I will. Thank you so much. The Henna Hotel is the world's first robot hotel.
It's so scary.
It's run by robots to accommodate the thousands of foreign tourists now flooding into Japan. Yamaguchi-san, the hotel manager, is on hand to explain a bit more of the concept.
もうロボットっていうのは常に進化してますので、非常に需要があるんですね。で、今日本の課題としてはですね、少子高齢化が進んでおりまして、特にホテル業ですとかサービス産業にですね、従事する人間っていうのもかなり少なくなっています。
Robotic torture. Please put your suitcase baggage on the robot and put the tail around it. There we are. There we go. Let's try to get there before the evening, shall we? This hotel, staffed by robots, must cost a lot of money. How can it make a profit?
月々、通常人が対応した場合はですね、お給料を支払えてると思うんですが、それがロボットですと一切かかりませんので、ボーナスもなしということになります。
Every London hotel has its own personal robot. Meet my new friend, Shuri. Look at that little person. Let's talk to me. Here it is. How to talk. You, that's me. Yes, Shuri, please can you ask the front desk to bring me some coffee, my little friend? Yes, Shuri, yes. So, Shuri, oh, what, will you?
Let's see.
Oh, how lovely. You can bring some champagne. Champagne on ice. I said a half bottle, but I now mean a full bottle. Jerry, will you get me anything? I know you can hear me. I'm not leaving again. I haven't even arrived. I had nothing to eat, and I've had nothing to drink. No. Miles down the coast is Nagasaki, a city that all of us will have heard of. Nagasaki has flourished for centuries, its high hills sheltering the city and protecting a natural deep water harbour. For early Europeans, Nagasaki was one of the few places the Japanese allowed trade with the outside world. The port and the city flourished. Today, shipyards, warehouses, cranes, and colossal cruise ships fill the skyline. A fleet of muscular-looking tugs is the lifeblood of this busy commercial harbour, and I've managed to find myself on board one of them.
I have three.
Come on.
No, nobody come.
It's not yet 6 in the morning. I'm down on the quayside. And this is the tug I'm joining. The Tomotsu. I'm equipped and ready. I've got my new life jacket. It's a new way of wearing them. On the waist, on the top like this. And you can go on board. It's only when you get out on the water that you can see the extent of the shipbuilding industry that still goes on in Nagasaki.
You're turning your hands is so
Dry
soft.
docks, slipways. This one belongs to Mitsubishi. But our job this morning is to lead a Chinese cruise ship into port. I'm honoured by Toshihiro Ide, the owner of the company, who's on hand to explain the plan.
This is Nagasaki.
Nagasaki Harbor.
We come from this point and come out. And this is Chinese Taishan. And we'll meet here.
Are you sure?
There are two ships here. One I can see very clearly, which has got a red hull, and the other, huge, coming in from the northwest, is the Chinese ship, the Taishan.
Where is this?
We're eating now the safe way into the harbour.
Oh, it's
It's
dark.
so beautiful. I can imagine what it must be like to be those early traders, because in this morning light, you can just see the shapes of the hills, islands, rocks, sun banging off the water, sound of the wind and the slapping of the waves. Terribly exciting.
Wow, so big.
Japan has been in and out of recession since the 90s, but in recent years, tourism, especially with the Chinese, is booming. Japan and China are not always on the best of terms. It's nice to see at least a cruise ship all blowing kisses to each other. You can just see now how our little time the Tonsuru is nudging the Chinese Taishan so that she's in the right position. Now that's job done. We're going to go back.
Oh, they stopped.
The tricky bits of you.
Oh, it's 3 again. Hello, people. Did I say hello, people? Hello.
It's a pleasure to be on the Tomatsuru.
Tamansu, arigato.
Thank you very much. Very good of you. It was lovely. Thank you. Today, Nagasaki is a bustling commercial city. But in 1945, its industrial output was directed to the Japanese war effort, fighting Allied troops in the bitter conflict in the Pacific. The Americans decided to try to end the war with nuclear weapons. And on the 6th of August, they dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, killing 80,000 people. But the Japanese leadership still did not surrender.
Hello, Langga.
And so 3 days
Hey,
later,
my
a
friend
second
Ali
atomic
is
bomb was
there.
detonated over the
Hi,
city of
Langga.
Nagasaki.
Finally. Salamat,
3 days
Langga.
after that, the Japanese surrendered.
Kamusta?
World War II at last came to an end. The city of Nagasaki had paid a huge price. Shirayama School,
I love you too, Langga.
was one of the few
Kamusta ka na? Hindi ka nag-LS?
due to its concrete
Sorry ako, nadala ko yung computer ko, kaya ako nag-LS.
and a living monument to peace. A statue
Kamusta
of
ka
an
na?
11-year-old boy, a pupil of the school who lost his life along with his entire family, now
Hindi ako
stands in
makapagsalita.
It's very touching.
Salamat lang.
Good morning.
Okay lang lang, hindi ako masyado makapag-kwento kasi dito ako sa bahay niya. Nanonood siya, kaya silent side. Okay lang ako, super busy. Hindi ka nag-LS ngayon?
Who is the statue of?
Wow! Yay! Congrats lang ka. Congrats! Sana hindi na kayo mag-away. Ah,
Thank you.
mabuti naman.
Bye. Oh, please.
Sana hindi na kayo mag-away. Huwag na kayong mag-away.
I love it. They're all concentrating on the fact this is the souls of the parties who were killed. There seems to be no sort of acrimony. It's just very sweet and peaceful, respectful but not somber. A section of the original school has been made into a museum, commemorating that dreadful day.
Ayaan mo na lang yun. Tahimik na lang. Huwag na lang magsalita ng...
Was a pupil of the school and the bomb
Siyempre,
dropped.
love ka niya.
Today he curates the museum.
Love ka niya eh.
And is this the school here?
被爆投手がこれがこれですね。
This time, is this
そう
one
です
here?
そうです。
And this is before it was bombed, and then afterwards nothing at all. So will you describe to me what happened on that morning of August the 9th?
私のお父さんは働きに行きますし、
Basta
おばあちゃん
lang
は
ka.
働きに行ったり、私はまだ
Anuhin mo na lang.
完全に完成をしてなかったので、またこう
Huwag na lang kayong
11
mag-away
ぐらいになると
parate.
ここに行った
Anuhin mo na lang siya.
それはちょうど原爆の
Kung mag-LS man siya, support na lang. para hindi kayo mag-away. Huwag na lang magsabi ng mga kung ano-ano.
に行くわけですよ。で、衝撃音っていうのは、もう地球がもう
Sana di na talaga kayo mag-away. Tuloy-tuloy na yan. Nasaya ako sa iyo lang
息が
ga.
できなくなるくらいのものすごい熱がこう吹きつけてきたんですよ。ですからね、でその後はもうだんだん昼がなくなって、それから夜になっていくんですよ。下に燃えてる家が燃えて煙が上がって太陽を覆い隠したので、ですからお日様が見えたのは8月の10日の昼過ぎっていう現象になりました。
Matsuyoshi was less than half a mile from the center of the explosion. Incredibly,
Walang
the
ano
sun
man
is
lang
halfway
ga. Basta
sheltered,
happy ako sa iyo.
protecting from the blast, and subsequently from the harmful radiation.
原爆の惨状の中で、ここの学校でも1500人のうちに1400人が亡くなりました。
Oo lang ga. Puntahan ko din. Ano ba yung ano niya? Para mapuntahan ko din. Minsan, pag hindi busy.
苦しくても、しっかり頑張って生き抜いて、平和の尊さっていうのを伝えないといけない。その役割は私にあると思うんです。
Pakilala mo ako lang ga.
And it's good to see it thriving again after such an appalling episode in its history.
Ah? Madaling ah. Sige, ano mo sa akin pag mga galon? Puntahan saglit.
On the Shinkansen,
Nanto.
bullet train, it's speeding southwards across Kyushu towards the city of Kagoshima, which is over 300 kilometers away and nestled under the active volcano of Sakurajima.
Oo nga eh, yan ang oras din ng tulog ko eh. Mga 2, 3, 4, ganun.
160 is, if 8, it's 8 to 5, so 160 would be close. Well, it's fast, believe me. Due to its many active volcanoes, Kyushu is known as the Island of Fire.
PM sa'yo
Japan
mo.
sits on the
Sige lang ga,
junction of
PM mo.
four tectonic plates, so the threat of natural disaster is never far
Ay,
away.
mabuti. Mabuti yun lang ga para walang ano, wala kang masabi, wala din siyang maano, hindi kayo mag-away.
A series of earthquakes registering up to 6 on Japan's seismic intensity scale collapsed buildings, ripped up roads, and stopped all trains running for days. Tragically, 48 people were killed.
Good yan lang ga. Huwag ka nang
It's late by the time we
magselos-selos.
reached the city of Kagoshima,
Nakakasira na relasyon.
but even in the falling light, I can see the ominous presence of Sakurajima looming over the city.
Dun, 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 dun.
And early the next morning, I'm on board a ferry bound for Sakurajima. It's difficult to imagine a more precarious place to live, but 7,000 people choose to stay here under the shadow
Basta
of
huwag ka
this
na
cloudy
magselos.
giant.
Huwag ka na
On
magselos-selos
the
lang ga.
island, such is the threat from debris thrown from the volcano that all school kids must wear hard hats on their way to and from school.
Puntok ako.
They must sweep up volcanic ash from the playground. Piles of black volcanic dust, headmaster helping. I think they do this every single morning. And they have regular evacuation drills. Let's go. Yeah. Where's our number? Come on, let's go. This is volcano drill.
Oo, off day ko. Dinala ko yung laptop ko, kaya ako nag-LS. Pag walang laptop, wala din.
The answer lies under your feet.
Hindi kasi ako minsan nagdadala, tinatamad din ako. Pag sa bahay, wala ding oras.
Just get a bit of a clue of what I'm going to find up here. Sakurajima is famous for its supersized radishes. The current world record radish was grown here and weighed in at over
Actually, maganda yung mga ano dito, mga signal.
Toshikio Murayama is the third generation to farm radishes here.
Yun lang nga, wala lang talagang time.
Look at that.
May laptop na ako pero ano na ako mag-LS. Dati wala akong laptop.
So huge, just here.
Gustong-gusto ko. Ngayon na meron parang, ewan.
爆発した時に
Yeah.
テキサス
Raised on pumice stones, yeah.
Pero
The
paunti-unti.
pumice stone in the soil
Pag hindi na
traps air
busy.
and water, which promotes really good root development and makes for some gigantic radishes.
これに一番
This one?
Nanonood kami ng
How
ano.
long have you been farming here?
私がさっき
Salamat lang ka sa imo nga
こ
time.
れをこうしてちょう
Yeah, okay.
私もう生まれてそうね70年だから、60年ぐらいこの作業してますよ。OK OK。
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Not brilliant.
Wala
okay,
akong-
but still not bad. Oh,
Ayun, nakakaano siya minsan pala.
that's a beauty.
Wala akong ring light na yan. Gusto kong bumili pero wala akong kwartong magpaglagyan talaga.
That's more than 80.
So, minsan di ba nakatamad siya mag-LS? Mabuti pa si ako
Sorry.
Namuni na siya.
This is hard
Oh.
work. Radishes. Moriyama-san, do you have a son?
はい。
Walang nga kasi
Will
sayang
he
din yung
take over
sayo.
farming from you?
息子はサラリーマンです。
Pag hindi mo yun
娘
itutuloy.
がうちの社長です。
Yeah. Yeah.
カフェしてるから、
Yeah.
行きましょう。
Let's do it.
Ay, ganon. Kasi yung iba di ba may pa-ring light or ilaw lang
It's got
talaga.
radish flowers on the top. Shredded
Ang ganda kaya
radish
ng
on the
lighting
inside.
mo.
Gorgeous. The offer of a radish lunch did make me a little apprehensive, but I was completely blown away by what was put in front of me. Look at this. That's a picture. Could you ever see anything lovelier than that? I mean, look at this. These are shreds of radish, which look like spaghetti. Admit it, you want to eat them.
Oh, pero maganda yung ilaw mo lang ga.
Given its volatile nature, there are
Oh, I
teams
have
of scientists who
five.
are constantly monitoring its circulation. I'm joining Professor Keigo Yamamoto on a flight
Darling, I have
right
thumbs
over
up.
the volcano.
I have 5.
Oh, got the jackets on.
Not yet.
So I'm getting cold at least.
Yeah, but it's okay. Eh? Huh? I thought 5 just now. Why now 4? Oops.
I can see now where the smoke's coming. Getting on the bridge, we're getting slightly greater. It smells sulfur too. It's actually fantastic.
No 4.
That. Oh, that's extraordinary. Just gorgeous. Smoke coming out of the fissures all around it. The sharp, sharp edge. Let's talk. Feels as if we're back at the beginning of the world.
Ay, ganun ba yun lang ka? hindi ko kaya alam yun.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Wala din ako niyan. Gusto ko din meron.
It's sayonara to the volatile, fiery island
Ito
of
may
Kyushu
ilaw.
and saying,
Para maganda.
"Makes you want the
Pero hayaan mo naglangga.
of a ryukyu
Mabuti na yung walang ring light or ano, di ba? Para
near
natural.
all the way to Taiwan."
Natural ang beauty.
The people of these islands are
Diba?
ethnically different from mainland people of Japan and maintained their independence up until 1879. My first stop is the island of Okinawa.
Okinawa,
I don't know why, but
Japan.
somehow I imagined that Okinawa would be a tiny tropical paradise. It's mostly a city landscape. It's been colonized by the Japanese since the mid-19th century,
Oh, I have 6, darling. Yeah.
by the Americans since the end of the
More.
war. But Okinawa has an ancient art, all of its own, which started here, which has gone on to conquer almost every country in the world.
Ay, ganon. Hindi rin ako pwede sa ring light lang kasi wala akong kwarto. Sarili kong kwarto. Kasama ko kasi alaga ko. Kaya ayokong mag-ano ng ring light.
Karate was invented right
Okay na
here
yung walang
in
ring
Okinawa.
light.
It derives from the
Meow.
indigenous martial arts of the Ryukyu Islands.
Para diba, natural
It's
beauty.
called
Come here.
karate, meaning open hand.
Come here.
It's raped the Japanese
Anong ginagawa mo lang, ga?
in the early 20th century.
Ay, wow.
Higawa Sensei is 77 years old and a karate legend.
お願いします。
He's black belt 10th Dan and was once considered the most dangerous man in Okinawa.
Oh.
If I was beginning today to learn karate, what was the first thing I would do?
Strong. そうそうそう、yes. Strong pull back. Then, so, then, right and left hand together. Yes, so. Very good.
Very good.
I can remember fighting the new Avengers doing that, and also going past somebody pulling their foot and shoving them over.
Oh.
Long ago days, this is not 40 years ago.
Late nagising mo lang ka. Wala kang trabaho. Lockdown pa rin
The
dyan.
island of Okinawa was known around the world for the terrible battles it was fought here towards the end of the Second World War 70 years ago. The island had huge strategic importance and was the first Japanese soil that the American forces would set foot on. At the cornerstone of Peace Monument, I met Masahide Ota, who, like thousands of young men from the local population, was conscripted into the army and made to fight against the invading Americans.
Meow.
American fleet arrived.
Meow.
American soldiers came in. We were fighting.
Meow.
This American battleships were all over the place.
During the 88-day battle, he deserted, and with hundreds of others hid in caves along the shoreline. He saw nearly all his comrades die, but he overcame hunger, thirst, and injury, eventually to emerge and surrender to the Americans.
I was hiding in the cave. No food.
Ay, ganun
no
ka lang ka. So, ano
water.
trabaho mo ngayon?
Always, today I will die, and tomorrow I will die. I will always like that, you know. Even today, I don't
Ay,
know how
ganon.
many
Sarap
days
naman
I
ang
was
buhay.
like that, you know. So why I could survive? So I said my purpose that I was survived was to guarantee never again.
Naku,
we will
langga.
not have
Masasanay ka
war.
yan.
After the war, Ota-san
Parang
went
nasa
on to
Europa
become
ka lang.
governor of the island and dedicated many
Ganon din,
years
di
to
ba?
establishing this peace park to commemorate the battle and the thousands of Japanese, Okinawan, and American soldiers who died fighting here.
Ganyan din ako lang ga minsan.
240,000
Kasi tulog ko
people.
alas
Yes,
5.
engraved here.
Ota-san, this
Tulog
is
din
the most
sa
extraordinary
umaga.
place you have created.
Gising sa
very
gabi.
wonderful that you came from England. That's so far away, and I really appreciate it.
In the south of the island, high above the capital Naha, lie the wartime Japanese naval headquarters, which are dug deep into the rock. As the US 6th Marine Corps closed in, large numbers of young Japanese sailors were ordered underground to make their last stand. All over Okinawa, there are hundreds of graves and shrines commemorating the dead from both sides of the war. Here, in what remains of the Imperial Japanese Naval Headquarters, thousands of young men made the final sacrifice, but they chose to commit ritual suicide rather than surrender to the American forces. This network of tunnels, carved from rock by hand, now serves as a chilling memorial to them. The tunnels are as they were in 1945, and you still get a strong sense of all the young men who fought and died here. It's incredibly clammy down here. It's got gutters with water running down. It's just ghastly. It's like walking into
Yay, I have 6 thumbs up, darling.
Thousands of young men,
More thumbs up.
thousands of young men killing themselves down here. When the tunnels were opened, there were about 2,500 bodies down here. And on the damaged walls, you can still see the terrible evidence of a group suicide. All riddled with a hand grenade when committed suicide. And this was somebody killing themselves.
Go back to Chile. Hello.
It must be
Sun
like a charnel house.
ikaw
This goes up.
Kumain ka na lang ka. Kami kumain kami ng roti prata. Why is she crying that day?
Unbearable anyway, but just seems that people felt so ashamed at being taken captives that they were young ones whose lives had hardly survived.
Oh, I know. Why is she crying? To make more viewers.
It's so good to see you.
Some get two jackets.
I know, right? Because I know some of the YouTubers, they do that.
Or get a jacket.
No, make drama on their
You
YouTube.
make drama every day. God. I get drama if I upside down cup. No, the fucking dramas kami mga right?
No?
Yes.
That
Always.
is it. So I must do that. Sorry. That is Well, the water's so blue, clear.
I'm nearing the end of my long Japanese journey. It just traveled 300 miles. To almost the southwest part of Japan, 1,500 miles south of Tokyo. It's an island called Okama.
Hello, Ed Hogot. Oh, then we have another one. I see if this is. Oh, hello, Ki. Hello.
This remote Colorado
Hi.
population is just 600. But social
Ah.
theism managed to pull off a pop sensation, clinching
Ah,
the number
hello.
one hit in the
Hello
Japanese
po sa
charts in
inyo.
2015. With their catchy little number, Come On and
Hello,
Dance
hello.
Persona.
Darling, I
The
have
group is
7.
called KBG84.
Hello po.
KBG, an acronym for Bahama Grand
Hi,
Prix.
Langga. Hi,
And
Kiss.
82
Hey,
is the
hi,
average
Kid.
age. This is a slightly
Hello.
different version of the latest one.
Kasi nahiya ako. Nahiya kasi, kaya ganorn. Wala kasing tawa kanina. Olo lang ang pwede. Mata lang din. Hello po. Hello, Manong Linkin. Ba't wala ka, ano? Ba't Manong wala ka nung ano?
The girls made a video of their number one hit and have since toured the country to sell out gigs.
Hello, Manong. Bakit ulo lang ang makita? Ayan na, mukhang palaka. Ah, cute. Sige nong, salamat nong. Ay langga. Salamat gid nong.
Everybody on this little island got in on the act.
Kain ka na dyan, langga.
I went off to meet one of the tiniest but biggest stars of the group.
I-end ko na sa ano.
Her secret of success. This is the house of Tommy-san. She's 92 years old.
Wow.
Tommy-san, oh.
いらっしゃいませ。
Arigato.
Tommy-san, tell me, how do you keep looking and feeling so young?
ですね、毎朝起きたらですね、お掃除したり、じーっとしていないで、家のここら辺を歩いたりして、もう毎朝続けています。はい。
And tell me the secret of your energy.
Kumain ka na lang ka.
どっかのことなくね、もう元気で風が吹くように、とってももう元気よく、
Musta na nung?
ふわふわふわふわふわふるんですわ。ありがとう。
I didn't know these islands right at the southernmost tip of Japan even existed. But coming all this way and meeting people like Tommy-san has been inspiring. And if at her age I have half her energy, I'll be delighted. We started this journey almost a stone's throw from Russia, and we're ending it on this beach in Kahama, practically within sight of Taiwan, a journey of over 2,000 miles. And this has struck me, no matter how varied the climate or the scenery, the frozen icy sea, deep snowy forest,
Done share. Salamat, Nong. May obra ka mo subong?
One thing that has remained constant is the endless kindness, friendliness, and courtesy of everyone we've met in this fabulous country. When I came here, I wondered how strange and alien it would be.
Okay lang nung subong lang ko ng ka-LS. Kaya subong ko lang nadala akong computer sa gwa. Wala ako time sa balay. So, gindala ko subong. Muna nag-LS ko. Ikaw mo yan nung mustada. Lockdown sa inyo. Slight lang pala.
That's you. Stop something. Donuts. I prefer donuts.
Oo, nung ari ko dire ko nag-wifi. Ari kis medyo busy si Manong. Ay, pareho kita nung busy gid. Gani nung ilaman ka bulan wala. Ate basi may no sige na. Okay na. Silit ang okay no ano problem na. O ganit ano lang man ni. Hindi da lockdown sa inyo.
Hey, Rick. Hey there. Is this a good time? Yeah, it's good for me. Rick, I have a question for you. It's just you and me. Is that kosher? Absolutely. I just wanted you to walk me through the whole thing again and how it works.
Super right.
You help the wealthiest families in the U.S. get their kids into school. So I found 761 what I would call side doors. Front door means getting in on your own.
Darling, I have 9. Thumbs up.
Side door.
9 times up. Hindi ko katambay, Mayuki. Sinsya na, wait mo lang. Okay, no. Okay lang, no. Wala gid problema. Salamat sa pagtambay. Dali lang. Salamat, gid, nong,
If somebody were to catch this,
okay lang, gid ko, pareho lang man ta silip-silip sa mga ano, hindi man ko
it seems
hindi.
like it would be hard to miss. There was a 5'5" men's basketball player, a high school
Okay,
cheerleader,
busy
who
gid
was made
kita
to look like a
tanan.
lacrosse player. You've never had an issue with this. Unless an article comes out that the whole team is selling seasons to the school for 250
Sige lang,
grand.
no. Wala gid pala problema. Kamusta na lang kay Manang? Oh, Netflix. You know, darling, yesterday is Q birthday.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Okay, no nga. Salamat, gid. Kamusta na lang kay Manang?
This is my ultimate dream school. I'm getting rejected. I already know. I just can't. Oh my god.
Mayo kayo hindi na da-lockdown.
This is some crazy stuff. Let's talk about this. There's been a firestorm of news coverage on a sort of college admissions scandal. Explosive new details about the largest college admission scam prosecuted by the Department of Justice ever. Our friends are only talking about one thing, and it's this story hit like a real nerd. Real estate executives, a lawyer, doctor, and a litany of CEOs, all facing criminal charges and FBI investigation called Operation Varsity Blues. Operation Varsity Blues. Operation Varsity Blues.
How are you up for the coming scandal?
I'm sorry?
Rick Singer designed the scam and collected tens of billions of dollars from it.
Parents paid it top dollar to pass their kids off as star athletes. Rick Singer. Rick Singer.
Rick Singer.
Rick Singer.
Rick Singer.
The mastermind behind the entire operation. It is sending shockwaves across the country.
Salamat sa inyo.
Money goes into my foundation as a donation. Yeah, that way the kids don't know it happens, right? You make a financial commitment. What school you want may determine how much that actually is.
And so, in terms of things that are more than half a million or 300, what's that to the school?
So that's Georgetown, Boston College, Georgia Tech, USC, UCLA, Berkeley. You know.
Okay, that's not bad. But she's not a drug student. She's just a very bad one. It's already here.
Yay, Naina.
It's not.
Salamat.
Zero because
Unless we're donating to a building. Much more now. Already given around $750,000 there.
Salamat ng salamat sa tamsak ng kamusta. Hey, salamat ng
It's a done deal. Is there except for one special for twins?
Sige na, ikaw, kamo man halong man kamuda ni Manong Permi. Salamat sa imo nga time. Salamat. Okay nang, salamat. Halong-halong lang kamuda.
I have a bunch of schools that we work with directly, and it's kind of first come, first serve, right? So, pick a place you want to go.
So if you said Harvard or Princeton or Georgetown, what are those schools?
Well, if you want to use my side yard, Harvard, it's about 1.2 million.
Jesus.
But if you want to go through the back door, Harvard's asking for 45 million. Stanford's asking for 50 million.
Wow.
And they're getting it. That's the crazy thing. They're getting it from the Bay Area, from New York. John, this is how crazy it's gotten.
I've done a lot of more natural goods. It truly is amazing sometimes what people will say on the phone when they don't know that the feds are listening.
I know. It's craziness. I know it is. Then I need to get him to USC again. And introduce your cancer and he's this.
I can do that. If you can figure out a way to boot your husband out. So.
So the government did a wiretap on Rick's phone.
That's the crazy thing. They're getting it from the Bay Area, from New York. John, this is how crazy it's gotten.
I'm going to do over 730 of these side doors this year.
I've done a lot of wiretaps over the years. It truly is amazing sometimes what people will say on the phone when they don't know that the feds are listening.
I know. It's craziness. I know it is. Then I need to get him to USC again. And introduce your cancer and he's this.
I can do that. If you can figure out a way to boot your husband out. So.
So the government did a wiretap on Rick's phone, and he did not know. He was intercepted talking to many different people.
Every working mom comes to me and says, how do I do it all? Well, guess what? You can't.
There aren't many federal cases where you have 50 people indicted for a crime.
So we're trying to get ourselves like 34 on the ACT.
Yeah. Then it could be a 33, it could be a 34, it could be a 35. Right. You can be ahead of it.
And a signature center. So we can get kind of close.
Okay.
Rick Singer was the independent counselor who orchestrated the wrongdoing of Operation Varsity Blues. And court documents indicate that it started in 2011. My own research into Singer's life and career indicates that on a smaller scale, he was deceptive for decades before that.
I like to think that Rick started out trying to be professional and trying to be legitimate. For a number of years, Rick was the go-to person. He was the only one in town who did this sort of thing. And so if you wanted information about college admissions, you went to Rick. I think people were eager to use him. They were excited.
They were impressed and thought that, wow, he knows the formula. He knows the rules. He has the key to the
Thank you, Langga.
If you're a wealthy parent in a school with 500 seekers, your child is getting a fraction of the attention you want your child to get. So you do what you do. You apply money to the problem, and you find somebody who will independently help just your child and help your child through this process. And that's sort of the genesis of an independent college counselor.
My parents had said, we are hiring an independent college counselor who can help give you a little guidance on SAT prep and help narrow your focus for the colleges that you're interested in, and will be a presence in your life for the foreseeable future until college applications are in.
I believe that there were many students he worked with who had very good credentials, and he performed the normal services of a counselor, facilitated their admission to college by advising them on their essays or their recommendations and so on.
He was the go-to college counselor at that time. Back then there weren't many resources. He had a couple of future stars, and I had many friends that used him. It was one of those things where you kind of had to do it. If you didn't do it, you would regret it and worry about did I get into where I wanted to go? What could I have gotten if I would have used him? He always dressed like he had just come from the basketball court. His idea was that what he was doing was coaching kids for getting into college, so therefore he dressed like a coach.
He used to walk around in his athletic clothes and his little monk hairdo. He wasn't necessarily charismatic.
Didn't crack a lot of smiles. Was pretty serious. Very shrewd. Business-like. He didn't chat much. He wasn't very personable. There are people you meet who feel like they have this vibrating tension right under the surface all the time, and he was like that.
Rick was always drumming up business. He was always giving presentations at Borders, at country clubs, and I also knew his presentation entailed that they were promises that he couldn't keep and lies.
I would hear some stories from kids that made me think that he was a little bit fishy, a little bit slimy.
I have one acquaintance who said that Rick started offering him, you know, hey, I could potentially get you into the school for a certain amount of money.
Almost from the very beginning, Rick Singer was cutting corners, at least in a small way. The word I got from people who knew him in Sacramento was he was exaggerating and fabricating their own kids' applications. You know, changing their race from white to Latino or African American so that they could qualify for foreign action. I mean, he was quite brazen.
Because I was always suspicious of Rick Singer, I started to keep a file. I started copying things off his website. The Singer Group has developed into one of the U.S.'s most successful life coaching and consulting businesses. Within a year, operations were launched in Singapore, Bangkok, Philippines, China, Japan, and Korea.
Rick Singer was frequently telling lies about his resume. Somebody told me that he pretended he'd been a board member of Starbucks. The more he got away with it, the more he did it.
Today, our world has changed. From foreign conflicts to war and hunger, for better healthcare systems, racism, and education. It's an everyday battle of the scholars, regardless of where and where we
No.
are. A similarity of Philippines
Kid with you, Gordon. How you doing?
to my faith in humanity, cultural understanding,
Over
and
field lawyer
respect.
Gordon Castle, he is a partner at the law firm of Wilkie Farm and Gallagher. The U.S. tax system has two fundamental components, which makes this somewhat alert.
My wife has told me a little bit about what you guys do. Could you just give me a little bit of background? We are a $290 million company that I own, with 1,000 employees across the U.S., 280 internationally. We help the wealthiest families in the U.S. get their kids into school. We have every NBA owner, every NFL owner. We've got everybody. Now,
These families, they want to guarantee, they don't want to be messing around, they want this thing done. So they want an interest.
I've got 761 what I would call side doors. The front door means getting in on your own. The back door is making a donation, which is 10 times so much money. I've created this kind of side door because with the back door, there's no guarantee that they're just going to give you a second look. My families want a guarantee.
Sumulan.
With the FBI. I'm currently part of a squad that investigates economic crimes, including various forms of corporate fraud, securities fraud, and bribery. The facts in this affidavit come from my personal involvement with this investigation.
I end this one.
Hi, my name is Rick Singer, and I'm the founder of the Key.
Rick Singer founded and operated The Key, a for-profit college counseling and preparation business. He also founded the Key Worldwide Foundation, a nonprofit corporation that is exempt from paying federal income tax. Rick Singer told parents that he could facilitate their children's admission via what he termed the side door, a special arrangement in which the parents would make a donation to his foundation to conceal the fact that they were bribe payments. Between approximately 2011 and 2018, parents paid Singer approximately $25 million to bribe coaches and university administrators.
This is America. Like, you got money, best believe you have access to certain spaces that other kids don't have. So I'm really not surprised.
Over the last 3 or 4 decades, higher education has become increasingly a commodity. Something that you purchase, a product, it's a goal in and of itself, rather than the goal being to get an education.
It's become a status point. Your status has now increased because your child is at what's called an elite institution. It's all about bragging rights.
The running sort of line in our industry is like the parents are applying to college and the kid is the vehicle through which they apply to college.
Your freshman, I'm really sorry because you are going to be thrown into a world where they're going to be like, college, 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 college. Go to college. You have to get the best grades. If you're not, you're going to feel like a failure. Your failure is worse.
If you're a parent, you didn't go to Harvard, this is your chance to now go to Harvard, right? In your sort of like warped mind.
It's typically accepted that Ivy League institutions are the quote-unquote best in the country. But all of those differences have almost nothing to do with the academics of the institution. U.S. News started ranking colleges
Sige lang ga,
in the
nantok
80s
ako.
based on one criteria: prestige. That's it.
Mhm.
That's it.
Prestige is actually a French word. And in the original French,
Ano yun lang ga,
it means
lunch or
something people
dinner?
don't realize. It means
O
deceit.
snack pa lang pala.
That's what prestige is in the college. It's imaginary. It's an illusion. Yet people believe in it. It's not just population growth that makes it harder to get into colleges today. The colleges themselves have brought it about because the more selected they look on paper, the higher ranked they're going to be.
Everything these schools are doing is massaging to try and up the rankings, and it's a really dangerous game.
Most people see college admissions, it's based on merit, except for affirmative action for minorities. My view of the admissions process is all sorts of different preferences, with yes, some students getting in on pure merit, but many others getting in due to preferences that skew rich and poor. One is by preferences for students who play niche sports like sailing or fencing or horseback riding, which most kids never get a chance to try. Then there's making a huge donation to a university. That gets them noticed by the fundraising office, which will recommend the candidate to admissions. Jared Kushner was the son of a very wealthy real estate developer in New Jersey. At the time Jared was applying to college, his father pledged $2.5 million to Harvard, and Jared was admitted to Harvard, even though, by all accounts, was a kind of average student who wasn't necessarily taking the toughest courses in his high school.
A lot of the colleges won't actually guarantee the admission, which is interesting. So you might write a check for $3 million, but the kid could end up being rejected. I think if you're not writing a $10 to $20 million check, I'm not sure it moves the needle enough for them.
Singer didn't demand the kind of money that is required today if you want to absolutely guarantee your kid's going to get in. You know, these parents paid Singer $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. What he sold and what they bought was essentially a certainty of admission at a bargain basement price.
So I'm going to make him a kicker.
He does have really strong legs. Maybe he'll become a kicker. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could inspire him, Rick. You may actually turn him into something. I love it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay lang ga, walang problema. Same lang dyan lang ga, same time lang tayo.
TBG Growth is the $4 billion growth arm
Alas 4 na.
giant TBG Capital.
The more successful the business is, the
Alas
more
4
impact
na
you create,
dito.
and you get the virtuous benefits of a sustainable, scalable capitalism at work.
Walang ga, ano ko lang nga din.
Boy, I made him a long snap.
You love it.
He was 145 pounds. Long snap.
So what I'll probably need is if you guys have any pictures of him playing multiple sports, that will be helpful because I will Photoshop his face onto a kicker.
Okay, let me look through what I have. Pretty funny, the way the world works these days. Unbelievable. Doug Sully's a California businessman and executive.
Had the good fortune of getting to know many of you and sharing smiles, joy, and laughter together.
Last year, I had a boy who did the water polo, and when the dad sent me the picture, he was way too high out of the water. Nobody would believe that anybody could get that high. And so I told the dad, I said, "What happened?" He said, "He was standing on the bottom." I said, no.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be swimming. Exactly. That's right. No, does he? Here's the only question. Does he know? Is there a way to do it in a way where he doesn't know what happened?
Well, what I would say to him, if you want to have that discussion now with your son there, say that we have friends in athletics who are going to help him.
Because he is an athlete. But I can't say that in front of my son because he knows he's not.
But he would know is that
I'm going to take his stuff and I'm going to get him some help, okay?
That I would have no issue with you lobbying for him, you helping use your network. No issue.
You don't have to tell him a thing. Is Bill McGlashy doing any of this shit?
Is he just talking a clean game with me and helping his kid out? Because he makes you feel guilty. Are you taking care of him in a way that he doesn't know because you have an interest in him?
No, not at all.
It has nothing to do with this.
But he didn't know. His kid had no idea. And he didn't have any idea that he helped him on the ACT.
Because that's what he asked for.
Bill McGlashy.
Asked for his son not knowing. Okay.
All right. So he's not there for a cut.
With me.
With you and with his own kid. He wants it that way.
Your guy, Augustine,
Augustine is, yeah.
he's pushing hard, trying to find out your guys' approach with your son. He came to me and I said,
I was not willing to talk to him about it.
He's been pushing me too. He obviously wants to get your help, with his daughter. And I just said, you need to make your own call what you want to do. And you just need to talk to Rick and work with Rick.
that's good. He's pushing hard, like, you gotta tell me what they're doing. I said, listen, this is their situation, and Bill is very connected. You need to discuss this with Bill, not discuss it with me.
Well, he tried that. And just so you know, he sort of had a conversation with another family about the side door approach you have and was sort of suggesting, do you think this is right? And da-da-da. And I just said, Augustine, you shouldn't be talking about this. What Rick does is very specific to circumstances. And it just bothered me. He's out there talking about it.
Agreed, yeah. And that's what worries me too. I said, listen, you are in a very competitive environment. You have to keep what you do to yourself. It will blow up on you. No matter who you think you know, it doesn't matter.
That's right, and he's not straight at all. That's why I was not comfortable talking to him about it.
Good.
Right.
Rick Singer provided reassurance, the reassurance that other people just like you are going through this thing. I've dealt with this a million times. Rick was like a therapist or a life coach, only he was also a criminal.
My profile of Rick Singer is he's a born salesman. He's smooth and subtle, not overbearing. He knew that he had time. It's not like someone has to get into school today. It's not like the test is tomorrow. They have some time, so he nurtured the process well, like a good salesman does.
So what sport will be the best for them? Is crew the best? Is that even going to really matter?
For me, it doesn't matter. I'll make him a sailor or something because of where you live.
Massachusetts businessman John Wilson, who runs a private equity firm, he's accused of paying more than $1 million to try to get his kids into elite universities.
Same kind of deal, any sport? You don't have to play sport.
That's correct.
No. What if they don't actually get in?
No, you don't have to worry about it. It's a done deal.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, I'll send you the information about the bank and the wiring stuff probably in the next day or so.
All right. Oh, by the way, you should mark your calendar for next July if you want in on Paris. Got a big birthday, July 19th.
Okay.
I rented out Versailles.
You're crazy.
I know. A black tie party there, so you'll have to come.
One of the amazing things about Rick Singer is that this guy from a kind of obscure background and without a lot to show on paper, insinuated himself into quite a high social circle and made an awful lot of money doing it. My sense was that Rick Singer had a somewhat unhappy childhood. His parents divorced when he was young. He was bright. He had the gift of the gab, unquestionably. After childhood, he went to several colleges, and then after that, he went into coaching. But his problem was he was too volatile, particularly as a high school coach. He tended to scream at the players as if something went wrong. He was kind of like the Bobby Knight of high school coaching. When Sacramento State had a bad year, they went 4-24 one year. The whole coaching staff was fired, and that included Singer. And so that's when he looked around and he said, maybe basketball coaching isn't for me after all. I've got to switch careers. And he noticed this new industry of independent college advisors, and he became the first one in Sacramento. It's interesting how his background, in a way, prepared him for this scandal. I mean, if you think about it, as a basketball coach in college, he had firsthand exposure to how athletic admissions worked. And that was knowledge that undoubtedly he put to use years later in his efforts to bribe coaches to portray kids falsely as recruited athletes. He knew athletic admissions from the inside.
Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, Rick, you okay? We're hearing a big rainstorm in Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia? Yeah, I'm in Dubai. I didn't know they had storms like that out there. Yeah, I know. Very unusual. What's happening?
I just gave the Stanford sailing coach $160,000 for his program. While we were having that conversation, I said, hey, I'm hoping that this $160,000 that I'm helping you with helps secure a spot for next year.
Can I be guaranteed a spot for next year? He said, yes.
All it takes?
No, that's not all it takes.
Yeah, okay.
It's not TJ Maxx or Marshalls or something like that.
Right.
I want you to have first dibs. If you want,
I can provide John Vandermoor with a check. I can send him your $500,000 to secure a spot for one of your girls.
John Vandermoor, he was kind of lured out to Stanford. He was a successful sailing coach on the East Coast.
My name is John Vandermoor. I am the head coach of the Stanford University sailing team.
By all accounts, he seemed like a good, upstanding guy. There were a lot of people that were surprised who knew him that he got caught up in this.
Hello, Jex.
I sent one to take dates also.
Ano? Oo.
Are they good?
Sige ah. Napod mo?
Have you ever imagined yourself in this situation?
Okay, sige ah.
Never. It's
because
it's
blind
something that I
puti
don't think I've fully comprehended yet.
Baway.
But it's something that will impact the rest of my life.
Ito saya ba mo? Ano pa sa gabi?
I first got connected with Rick Singer through a phone call. He called me after practice one day. He introduced himself, said that he was a college recruiter and was really interested in doing more with smaller sports. So I thought it was intriguing and I agreed to meet with him the next morning. What I thought was really interesting is that I was expecting him to text me or call me when he got to Stanford, because Stanford it's very secure. You have to have a key card to kind of swipe in and out of every door. And somehow he just showed up at my door. So I was a little shocked by that, but it definitely told me that he had connections with Stanford that were far deeper than myself. Rick Singer is kind of your California beach bum in a way. Flip-flops, t-shirts, shorts. He was actually really easy to talk to, and I had really good conversations with him. He was really engaging and drawing me in. Our interaction was solely about recruiting. The way recruiting works at Stanford is that each sport is given a certain amount of spots that you can support. And it kind of ended with him talking about this young woman named Molly Zhao.
Hello everyone, I am 17 now. I just graduated from high school.
Rick said that she really wanted to go to Stanford. My recruiting was pretty much done at that point, so I wasn't really considering her for a spot that I could support, and I told Rick that. He contacted me almost right away and was like, is there any other way you could support? Your family is pretty wealthy and they would be interested in donating about $1 million. My athletic director said that it's something that Stanford could do, but that $1 million wasn't enough to really have an impact with admissions. So that was it. And I didn't hear anything from Rick for a while. In August of that next year, Rick called me up out of the blue and said, hey, this is fantastic. Molly got in and the family's so excited and thanks for all you did. I said, well, that's great. I'm excited for it. It's a big deal to get in Stanford. But I didn't really do anything. I said, well, they're really excited and they want to donate $500,000 to your program. I said, if they want to donate $500,000 to the Senate program for me doing nothing, that sounds great to me.
I've seen no evidence that John did do anything to get Molly Zhao into Stanford. Why did Rick Singer donate $500,000 in the name of Molly Zhao? Only Rick knows the answer to that. That may have been a huge down payment for access to the Stanford Sailing program.
So I sent the check. I got it in the mail in my campus mailbox, and I went into development and told my athletic director I got this $500,000 donation. She was excited for me. I talked about how I really hadn't done anything for it. It was kind of out of the blue, but I guess it's kind of the best kind of donation. At the same time, the head athletic director for Stanford was there as well and said congratulations and was excited about it. And I started to explain that, hey, it's through this guy, Rick Singer. And he turned to me and said, interrupted me and said, oh, I know Rick.
I think what we see here is school administration officials, they just want to keep the money coming in, and they don't want to ask questions of how it got there. And I think we definitely saw this in the case of Stanford. When you have $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 donations that would come in for something like sailing, that wouldn't raise any red flags or wouldn't be scrutinized. It seems as if Singer targeted sports that were under the radar because the margins are tighter. He knew the right places to look.
So I've got 2 kids at Stanford and 2 kids at Yale. I'm trying to find out who's stepping up first.
Okay, all right.
Don't matter, because I might have a spot for both of them.
Really?
Great.
Yale soccer coach Rudy Meredith pocketing more than $860,000 in bribes.
You can come in an Ivy League environment and develop as a player and still have your Yale degree.
Give me the names. I'm working on it.
I gotta do athletic records. I'm trying to. I'm trying to work.
Hold on 1 sec. Let me just. I have no idea where the hell I am here in London.
Oh, well.
Freaking hate these one-way street bullshit things.
I know. And you're on the left side of the road, so you gotta be careful.
Yeah, tell me about it. 2, 3. Where's 4, 5? Where the fuck is it? Now I'm on the main street again.
I tell you what, I'm glad I live in the U.S. It wouldn't be so bad if you were in Sweden. Yeah, well, then I gotta find myself a good Swedish girl then. All right. Well, next time I'm in Sweden, I'll take a look.
Tell me what you're looking for. I'll supply you.
Well, I'll tell you this much. At my age, it's hard to find the right people. That's the hardest thing.
I met Rick through my very first time on a dating site. I'd never been on a dating site before in my life. And at 53 years old at the time, I figured, all right, let me give it a try. There he was, and there I was, and he messaged me, and I went from there. When I met him, did I look him up online? Of course, right away, and I thought, wow, this guy is, other than the poor video quality on his website, I thought, this is very interesting what he does.
My key method will launch the full potential of your son or daughter and sets them on course to excel in life.
I thought, he's really a go-getter. He's really out there doing something good. I met him out for dinner, and it was interesting when we first started comparing notes about our past, and we both started working at the very same time. He was 12, and I was 12. I had a paper route, and he was the kid that got the older kids to buy alcohol, sell to him. He'd sell it then for a profit to kids. So I said, okay, so I had a paper route, and you're a minor selling booze to minors. Great. He said, yeah, it's very industrious. So we laughed about that, and he was charismatic. He was interesting. He was smart. It was quick. It was like, nice to meet you. Great. Good night. I really like you. When I find time, let's go out again.
Is he pretty serious?
Oh, super serious. One time I sent him an emoji that's the Bitmojis, and I said, hi. And he came back with, you're crazy. Stay cool in school, little goofy. His own family said, I made him laugh. He needed to laugh more. He was not wanting to stick around long. He was just so very busy with college coaching, house to house.
Another characteristic of Singer's was that, he worked nonstop. From what his former assistants told me, he wouldn't spend the night at a hotel. He'd spend it on an airplane. And he would be, texting his assistants at all hours of the day, giving them various tasks. He was an extremely driven guy.
I got the sense he had clients all over the place. And I just look back on text messages, and every time we connected, he says, I'm in Dallas, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, I'm in New York, back to California. He even lived out of a van at times when he was coaching. He had this big Mercedes type van thing, and he'd sleep in it because it was just easier. Rick had a passion for just getting up every morning, 4 a.m., working out, swimming, cycling, running. That man was like the Energizer Bunny. I've never seen anybody that would just have so much energy and go, go, go. And I think he lived on about 3 hours of sleep a night, from my understanding. And that was fine with him. I looked at a lot of his behaviors and realized, he was hiding a lot. He had been leading and living a secret life. No wonder why he couldn't get close to people.
Hey, Rick. Is this a good time?
Yeah, it's good for me.
Okay, great. My name is Augusto Nunez. We're sitting up here in one of the pavilions enjoying a beautiful afternoon at Quintessa in Napa. And so let's go to taste. I just wanted you to walk me through the whole kind of water polo thing again and how it works. I mean, you and I talked about the economics, timing, how that works. You and I had a brief conversation about it, but I just kind of wanted to get it straight if you want.
Okay. I'm putting together your daughter's sports profile. It'll be a water polo profile now. I take her transcript, test scores, and profile to the liaison for all sports in USC. Football, everybody has to go through her.
My name's Donna Final, and I am a senior associate athletic director.
By all accounts, Donna Heidel was a very diligent supervisor who was really a stickler for details. She was also getting 20 grand a month from Singer.
And she had meetings every other Thursday, which are called subcommittee meetings, where the dean of admissions and 2 admission staff are there, and they